What is good or bad, beautiful people? We are back for episode 1.5 is what we're going to call this of Chirps and Chel, presented by Washed Up Sports Podcast. So Jared and I figured we'd hop on. First, let me introduce my co-host, Jared Brazel. How you doing, Jared?
I'm doing good. How are you, Max?
Can't complain. Can't complain.
Yeah.
I'm not a Chicago Blackhawks, so I'm doing better than the Blackhawks for
Yeah.
sure. So that's basically why Jared and I figured we'd hop on today, do a little short episode, calling it 1.5. And then, yeah, we just want to dive into this report that came out yesterday, basically an update on the entire Chicago Blackhawks sexual assault allegations and investigation and all of that. So just before we get started, trigger warning, we're going to be talking about what happened with the Chicago Blackhawks and the entirety of that situation, people who are still on the teams and everything. So just a fair warning. So Jared, did you want to just give us a start, maybe a overview of what's happened?
Yeah. So basically, to orient the time frame, this happened in the 2010 Stanley Cup run for the Chicago Blackhawks. And the first lawsuit, because there are technically two lawsuits, the first lawsuit is between someone being referred to as John Doe, because he's remained anonymous, and Brett Aldrich, who was a film coach for the Chicago Blackhawks at the time. Basically, the allegation is that Brett Aldrich invited John Doe to his apartment under the guise of watching film in order to get better or to how to get noticed, and then proceeded to assault John Doe. He exposed himself to John Doe, as well as providing did a bunch of other sexual acts, which are detailed in the full report that was released. So we don't have to go into description there.
Yeah, we could put that. We could put the link to the article in the description of this video for sure.
Yeah, and then he, I know he threatened John Doe with a bat at one point, and then also threatened John Doe's career, basically saying that if you left, I have the ability to end your career, type thing. And so John Doe claims that and the report confirms that the issue was brought to Blackhawks management. And basically, the day after the Blackhawks won the Western Conference final. So we're looking at, I think, May 23rd or May 24th.
May 23rd. The investigation is between May 23rd and June 14th.
Yes.
Of,
so
2010.
Yeah. The Blackhawks had a meeting with, and I'm going to try and get all the names here so that I don't mess it, so that we get the full picture. Had a meeting that basically tabled the discussion till after the playoffs were done. So senior executives, including then President CEO John McDonough, had a meeting in his office to discuss what was brought up. And this include John McDonough, Stan Bowman, I don't know, but the last name is McIsaac, Jay Blunk, Assistant General Manager Kevin Cheveldayoff, and Head Coach Joe Quenneville. And basically during the course of that meeting,
Al McIsaac.
Al McIsaac. It is said that both Cheveldayoff and Quenneville, what is important to note, are still active participants in the NHL. Cheveldayoff is the GM of the Winnipeg Jets, and Joe Quenneville coaches in Florida. They basically alluded to how hard it is to win the Stanley Cup, and saying that this discussion and negative publicity would be better tabled till after the playoff run was done. I think it's important to also note that at one point, the team that was investigating this, the independent investigation, found that at a certain point during the Blackhawks victory celebration, Brett Aldrich tried to assault an intern that worked with the Blackhawks during that run while he was
The day after they won,
celebrating the Stanley Cup. Yeah,
June 10th.
He was also able to have the day with the cup, and he was able to have his name on the cup, I believe. And then he was quietly allowed to resign. And it even says that, yes, the Blackhawks paid him $23,000 in severance, along with a $15,000 playoff bonus. So it's also important to note that after Aldrich was done with the Blackhawks, he did go on to assault other players. The
At
second
different levels, right?
Second lawsuit associated with this story is that a former high school hockey player is alleging that the Blackhawks gave Aldrich a positive letter of reference, even though they were aware of the allegations. And then Aldrich was also convicted for fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct involving a high school student in Michigan. So that is the general overview of everything for this case that has been arguably the biggest story over the summer. Stan Bowman, who has resigned from the Blackhawks as well as GM of Team USA, and Joe Quenneville basically issued, or Kevin Cheveldayoff issued a statement today saying that he was unaware of the allegations at the time. And Joe Quenneville has, to my knowledge, yet to respond to everything that's going on. But to everything that I've seen, he will be on the bench for the Florida Panthers tonight. So it is a tough day, obviously, as hockey fans, but at the same time, it gives you a little bit of hope, because you want the problems of hockey culture need to be resolved. And the only way to do that is to hold people accountable to what they do and
keep bringing the issues to light.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think it's also important that the NHL fined the Chicago Blackhawks $2 million for failing to properly adhere to their sexual assault policies.
It's nothing, though.
Yes, it's literally nothing. The New Jersey Devils, for reference, were fined $3 million for an illegal contract with Ilya Kovalchuk. They were fined $1 million more for an illegal contract over a breach that is this bad and has caused a lot of harm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, Bettman says he's going to arrange personal meetings with the two coaches left, Quenneville and Cheveldayoff, if that's how you say it. I don't know. I like you said, I feel like there should be hope, but it feels like, I don't know, Gary Bettman's not like the guy to be an enforcer, and really, I don't know. It seems like he just wants to protect the NHL shield more than anything.
I mean, this offseason, it seemed more than the past has really shown a light on just how bad hockey culture is and can be. You have this whole incident. You have the the drafting of Logan Mailloux to the Canadiens, which we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
And then there was the incident that happened in Finland a few weeks ago, where a Finnish player pretended to be eating a banana out of a black hockey player in the Finnish league.
Yeah.
And basically got a slap on the wrist for it. So
I mean, and not even to mention, like we were talking a couple weeks ago. I mean, you have the malpractice with drugs in the locker room by trainers. I mean, then you go into a whole nother bubble. You have the whole concussion settlement from a couple years ago, and then you go into a whole nother bubble. Then you go to the OHL and you look at the years and years and years of abuse that is done to their freshman OHL players. That Daniel Carcillo, former Blackhawk, actually in Flyer, has brought to light, like, very much. It's a wild sport. I think a lot of people will tell you that the culture is not their favorite part about it. Sure, you're gonna get those people who are stuck in the past and be like, "No, hockey culture is the best," but I don't think you're actually gonna get someone who can honestly tell you that they enjoy hockey culture, and what it really stands for, because it just stands for, like, bigotry and intimidation and bullying and hierarchy. It's old fashioned and very worn out, you know?
It is very tough, and it ultimately, at least for me, just reinforces the idea that to these people it's hockey first, you know, where we need to be at a place where there are certain values and there are certain lines that we can't cross. And I think that a lot of people that are higher up in the hockey world um, tend to just view this as a hockey thing and will take the negative publicity if it means that they get to win.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't think there's another way to construe the findings of what was released yesterday than the Blackhawks tabling a serious allegation of sexual assault so that they could win the Stanley Cup, which is just, it's something that, in my opinion, can't happen.
No, I mean, it shouldn't even be on the table to be pushed back, you know? It's just it's ridiculous. It's malpractice. It's fucking insane. Insane.
And yeah, so I mean, I hope in the stuff that I've listened to about this story, I hope that this brings John Doe some sort of solace, if that's the right word. If it
No, I think it
brings him
is, because it's hard to
something,
get justice at this point.
yeah. I know that it's a civil suit, so that's still going on. This is just that the independent findings were released. I hope that this encourages more people to, talk about the things that are wrong within hockey culture. Like, we can't view things as, well, I love this sport so much, so let's throw all the bad stuff under the rug.
Let's
You know?
just pretend that doesn't happen. You
Yeah,
know?
I literally, I love hockey so much. I love the NHL and I love this sport. And that means that I want it to be a good sport with, with great values and all this stuff. But it also means that when stuff like this happens, you have a responsibility to make it better and to not let it, die. So
Yeah. And I think ultimately one of the biggest things that comes down to, you have to ask yourself, like, not everybody plans on being a parent, but whatever. Would you ever let your future kid play this sport in the current status that it's in? And I think a lot of people would say no, just because of the culture of hockey, the danger of the sport itself. And I'm sure there would be people who say no to football and other sports as well. But nonetheless, I think that's something that you definitely got to take into account. Like, the sport won't grow if you just keep on suppressing these things and don't get better. And that's not the look you should have on it, but I know that's the look that NHL should have on it, because that's all they care about is the sport growing and making money. But like, if that's really what you care about, stop fucking like suppressing these things, stop covering shit up, whatever it may be, you know?
Um,
It's a sad day, I think. A
yeah,
sad couple weeks, I guess, for the NHL.
yeah. So as we sort of alluded to at the beginning, there are a lot of problems with hockey culture that have especially come to light very recently. I feel like if those are things that you would want us to talk about more, we can. And I feel like a part of me feels like we have an obligation at the very least because we have a platform to talk about these things. Um, and like we said, we're making this video a standalone episode because that is what this situation demands. You know, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel like it should be shoved into a 10-minute segment on a full episode, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So,
Likewise.
so if there are other things that you want us to talk about recently, even though we haven't been able to put an episode up, there was this stuff with Robin Leonard,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, Jimmy Hayes and the circumstances of his death. We can talk about that if that's something that people want to know more about.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Just honestly, like you said earlier, just hoping some hopefully some solace and good can come out of this. Because up until now and continuing till now, it's just been bad. Everything that's come out about the malpractice, about how they handle this shit. Um, it's just not
I'd like
good.
to. I want to make one more point. This is something that that is important to the story of the Blackhawks that I forgot to mention. After this assault was made aware to Blackhawks organization and then the team overall, basically, the John Doe received a lot of homophobic comments made towards him as a result of this um, assault, basically. And so it has a twofold impact where, you know, if Quenneville, who was the coach at the time, says that he has no recollection of these events or whatnot, how can you not be aware of the comments that your team is making?
Yeah, and your players are
And
making,
yeah,
and there's still players on that Blackhawks team,
yeah,
from those years. So it's kind of ridiculous that they've been so silent up until now.
which I think furthers the point that we've been talking about the way that power works in the NHL.
Yeah,
I mean, the initial event had the initial assault had Aldrich threaten the guy's career.
yeah,
And we're surprised that the NHL has a culture of, you know, tight-lipped silence when there exists the means that which people can, you know, end people's careers when they feel like it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the last thing that I wanted to mention to try and give a clear picture of everything that happened. And I still think that I might have missed some things. We really encourage you guys to, if you want to know more, you can read the full report. It's about 107 pages, but there are very graphic depictions of sexual assault and whatnot. And there's been a lot of good reporting about it. You know, you can go look at your Sportsnet or a bunch of Chicago newspapers, and they should have stuff for you if you want to do further research on this beyond just what we're saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. All right, guys, this was kind of a different episode, kind of down, but hopefully next one we'll have some more hockey to talk about. Hopefully some updates on this situation. And we'll get into some other stuff that we were talking about earlier.
yeah, I mean, and I think this is also, since this is, you know, where we're going to end it, Max and I were just trying to figure out our schedule and when works best for trying to put these things out. So just kind of bear with us for a little bit while we figure this stuff out, and we'll get back to you guys soon. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna try to post this one like tonight if I can, like as soon as I could get it finished. But yeah, we're gonna figure out a better schedule because the schedule we were on, we were both fucking busy and couldn't get on to record. So we'll get a schedule out there and let you guys know when new episodes are coming out. All right, guys. Peace out.